The Trump administration says it's engaging with Ukrainian and Russian officials trying to set up a meeting between their presidents to work on ending the war. However, tonight the signals coming out of Moscow are not encouraging. Senior White House correspondent Jackie Heinrich is live on the North Lawn tonight with the latest. Good evening, Jackie.
Good evening, Brett. Officials here are being tight-lipped after Russia undercut claims of progress. Instead, they are pressing on with preparations for a package of options for security guarantees. One official said they're generally brushing off bluster unless it comes directly from Putin, but the silence from the allies also shows how charged this moment really is. The White House not reacting after the Kremlin poured cold water on claims of progress, saying it won't agree to security guarantees for Ukraine unless Russia is part of the group providing Ukraine's security.
This will not work. We have already explained more than once that Russia does not overstate its interests, but we will ensure our...
All right, so the first thing that I want us to pay attention to is the fact that, one, there was no agreement that hostilities were paused or at an end after this past few days. There was the meeting in Alaska between President Trump and Putin. There was the meeting at the White House on Monday between President Trump and the delegation from Europe. And one of the things that was that was being touted after the meeting with Putin was Trump didn't get a ceasefire. But talks were open. So that didn't mean that hostilities ended. So I don't think there's anything to say but that. Okay, but saying that without putting in a lot of caveats is fodder for the mainstream media. So I think the White House is dealing with a lot of things. There are phone calls going on, and there's nothing to say just yet. Hey there. Quick pause to share something exciting. You may not know this, but I went from struggling with a stutter to building a YouTube channel with millions of views, over 10,500 subscribers, and counting. Do you want to create your own content but are unsure how to start? Watch my content creation playlist. It shows up at the end of this video. You won't find it anywhere else. I'll share my tools, tips, and strategies to help you grow, with lessons from beginner to advanced. Also, subscribe, like, and share to show your support for the channel. Now, back to the video.
A legitimate interest firmly and harshly. Discussing security issues without the Russian Federation is a utopia, a road to nowhere.
On Russian state media, the Kremlin dug in further, saying security guarantees should come from the 5 permanent members of the UN Security Council, which also includes China, giving Moscow another lever to veto implementation, which is the same position Russia's held since 2022, and not how the White House described Putin's position after Trump's meeting with him in Alaska.
We agreed to robust security guarantees that I would describe as game-changing. We didn't think that we were anywhere close to agreeing to Article 5 protection from the United States.
A White House official tells Fox President Trump and his national security team continue to engage with Russian and Ukrainian officials toward a bilateral meeting to stop the killing and end the war. As many world leaders have stated, this war would have never happened if President Trump was in office. It is not in the national interest to further negotiate these issues publicly. As NATO military leaders...
Well, that's true. Most of these negotiations happen in private. Negotiations are messy. They aren't tidy in the least. They are not. They're messy. It takes a whole lot for people to come to terms. And many times the two people who are negotiating leave the table unhappy. So it's something to take note of. And the media's insistence of being in the room when these negotiations are happening is just juvenile. It's not the way the world works. There are very uncomfortable conversations that need to happen behind closed doors. But that being said, it's also a place where things that are unsavory get said and actually do get agreed upon. So I don't think it's in anyone's best interest to kind of micromanage the entire situation with the press looking over the shoulder of the world leaders. Now, I keep saying that this conflict is more complicated than the Congo-Rwanda conflict, the India-Pakistan conflict, and the other conflicts that President Trump ended when he got involved in the peace talks. He's dealing with the 1,000-pound gorilla of Russia. And Russia has a history with Ukraine. They have a history. And for anyone who doesn't want to pay attention to the history that Russia has with Ukraine, they are either being extremely stupid, extremely dishonest, or extremely evil. Because this is a triggering point for Russia. Ukraine collaborated with the Nazis when they attacked Russia during the Second World War. There are still people alive in in Russia and Ukraine, who remember those times. It's not pleasant. All right. The United States, or people in the United States and other parts of the world who don't have history with other people across their border, where those people crossed over and killed somebody that's related to them, or did things to their country that is almost impossible to forgive, can't understand how deep some of these feuds go. So when we follow these conversations, it's not just the fact that that Russia and Ukraine are having some conflict. There's a history. And sometimes that history creates complications when negotiations are taking place. And there are expectations on both sides, for the Ukrainians and for the Russians. So there's so much to cover. And I don't think it's smart to oversimplify the nature of these negotiations and these conversations. Now, we're going to look at the comment section in a bit, but we'll listen a little bit more to this coverage and then go over to the comment section.
Talked options for security guarantees with top Pentagon brass. Putin continued on his warpath. Early Wednesday, a Russian drone crashed in eastern Poland, rattling NATO's eastern flank.
Once again, we are dealing with a provocation by the Russian Federation with a Russian drone. Russia will never admit to this, just as it hasn't admitted to any of the 8 incidents in Moldova, 3 incidents in Romania, 3 incidents in Lithuania, 2 incidents in Latvia, and 1 incident in Bulgaria involving drones.
We did not see the president today. We also didn't get a briefing from the press secretary, which usually happens if we are not going to see the president. And on the issue of Ukraine, no Truth Social posts either, Brad.
All right, Jackie. Meantime, tonight, the Director of National Intelligence announcing a shakeup. What do we know about that?
Yeah, Director Tulsi Gabbard said that the agency is doing away with roles that push partisan priorities. And by the end of fiscal year 2025.
All right, so that's going away from the story. So let's look at the comments section and then see what people have to say about this attack. We do have a few comments. Okay, so there's a video. The main target of Russia's overnight attack was one of the biggest American investments in Ukraine. Well, this person might be trying to stoke the whole America has also been attacked and you guys need to get involved. So let's see. Kazorp says, and tackle Trump doing nothing as usual, I imagine. So Kazo Trump is eager to see American forces, boots on the ground on foreign soil, and Americans dying. And it's not going to stop at Ukraine. Every other incursion or conflict that the United States have inserted themselves into have been with countries that do not have the capacity to transport the same violence to the United States. Russia has that capacity. So it is not smart I don't think this person is American. I don't think he is. Let me see. Yeah, he's Ukrainian, or at least his profile says he's Ukrainian. Nomadic Man Per says it's not on the border. That's let's see who else. There must be very good and worldwide desirable coffee machines. Oh, geez. But the mineral deal was supposed to be akin to security guarantee. Isn't this so? So this is a jab at Keir Starmer, who pledged support for Ukraine. Right now, I don't know how the UK plans on aiding Ukraine with boots on the ground when they are dealing with a few issues on the home front. So I don't think there's going to be any response from England. The weakness of the responses or complete lack thereof to these provocations is astonishing. These are more people. Sanjay Vakali, this person sounds like he's Indian. You don't insert yourself into conflict lightly. It is hard to do, to send people out there to die. If you think that this is Age of Empires or one of these first-person shooter games where you respawn after you're killed, okay, you've got another thing coming. The reality of conflict is lost on a lot of people who are clamoring for America to get involved. And this time, it's not going to be like the other times. It's not, okay? President Trump has said it, that there are weapons that would terrify anyone when they are used. These things are being used on foreign soil. Americans are not affected yet. If they want to bring a war to their doorsteps, then they will treat this as if it's one of the other wars that they've been involved in. Okay, so obviously the video claimed that the claim of the person who posted this, was that the video was the attack that happened, but this person checks him and says that the attack happened at night. Okay. And what exactly were they manufacturing there that Russia sacrificed 2 expensive rockets for? It definitely wasn't civilian electronics. And that's very true. These are, okay. Do you want me to go into just I'm not a military person. I like to see myself as a pacifist. But you have to understand how the world works. These missiles are very expensive. And you don't fire them unless you are dealing a serious blow to your enemy. You don't waste them on civilian casualties. The only people who waste bombs on civilian casualties are terrorists. Terrorists sow fear. Their only real weapon is fear. That's why they are called terrorists. So when you're looking at a war, it's not the same as Hamas, Hezbollah, and the other terror organizations targeting civilian locations. During a war, when a location is bombed, it is because there are military assets at that location that need to be destroyed. And if a location was bombed by Russia, it is very likely that they believed, with whatever evidence they do have, that military installations were located at that building. Okay, so that's it for the story about Russia. It's taking a large chunk of this stream, but it needed to be covered because the last few days there was a lot of hope, there was a lot of optimism, but I think this kind of rains on the parade of people who support Trump and his attempts to bring peace between Russia and Ukraine. But like I said earlier, there was no agreed ceasefire. So hostilities were still ongoing. They weren't expected to stop fighting each other or any of that. So let's keep our eyes on this and be very honest and measured with the way we respond to these stories.